if you think about hyperinflation is basically where the monetary supply is being increased so drastically at some point money has no value anymore. And hyper-Bitcoinization is the process where Bitcoin absorbs the monetary premium that other assets have accumulated in the fiat system and becomes the main form of money. I think that's how I would describe hyper-Bitcoinization. But now, if you ask me how I realistically see playing this out, very hard to say. But as we can observe, Bitcoin is absorbing more and more of the capital that is being, first of all, introduced into the world as new monetary supply. And there's also capital from other asset classes that now is being funneled into Bitcoin. And I think it's going to increase over time. Companies like MicroStrategy are inspiring other people to copy what they are doing, even though it's taking longer for other people to pick up on it. But I think, so blankly saying, the dollar will exist for another 50 years. And that is because what the US is doing now, they're acquiring Bitcoin. They call it a strategic reserve, but what they're actually doing is they're hedging their debt. So they're saying we want an asset that increases in purchasing power over time on par or faster than our debt, right? So they're not strengthening the dollar. They're actually inflating the dollar, but at the same time, they're buying Bitcoin. So this will allow the dollar to exist for another 50 years, maybe. And also Tether is helping the dollar to be used because it's providing digital rails for the dollar to be used worldwide. And therefore, I think a Bitcoin standard or hyper Bitcoinization is actually not really going to happen. I think what's going to happen is Bitcoin is going to become more important as a store of value over time. It's going to be more important as collateral over time. And at some point, it will be the most important asset class in the world. It most likely will dictate interest rates. It will dictate the investment environment because Bitcoin is a new benchmark. So owning Bitcoin means you don't need to invest into other assets to outperform inflation because Bitcoin increases in purchasing power more than other investments, even on leverage, as we showed at the beginning of our conversation. So I think that the investment world, interest rates, lending, credit will be changed, and also housing, because housing most likely will become affordable over time. As a mental exercise, look at any property in the world over time, price it at Bitcoin. It's losing value very fast, very, very fast. So in 2016, it cost around 1,000 Bitcoin to buy a home in the US. Now it's like 4 or 5, should be 4 or 5, depending on the market price, of course. And but so that helps to understand that Bitcoin is repricing everything. It's a unit of account. And I think that's the process we're going to see. I think fiat currencies will continue to exist alongside of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is going to be this distinct variable that's going to determine market prices and lending and credit variables as well.
I love that you brought up that. I don't know who put it out. It was Bitcoin Mag or someone put out that, the infographic basically from 2016 to 2020, 2024 with housing, the median price house. And it's just been making the rounds, obviously, on Bitcoin Twitter the last few months. But there's a reason it keeps kind of getting pushed around because it's such an easy way to have anyone understand what's going on and how Bitcoin reprices everything. And is it a beautiful way to kind of show that. And it's funny too. I think of it almost seems like, because I agree. I think that fiat currencies will be around much longer than we think. I feel like we'll live in two worlds in a way. We've been talking about two worlds for a while. We might as well keep going with this theme a little bit. You're living in this fiat world and you're living in this Bitcoin sound money world where it almost feels like a lot of things we do, it'll be sound money or Bitcoin, but then you have government currencies, up here, they still want to hold on to that as long as they can. So they'll be operating in that world for as long as they possibly can, which probably makes the most sense just that way. Because I know my problem is I get too, optimistic or I'm too idealistic. And I think that's a lot of Bitcoiners probably, we get very idealistic. And in our defense, it's with, if people woke up tomorrow or 10% or 20% of people and said, hey, these fiat currencies are garbage, we're going to something better. We could do that. Like we would switch. Now, logistically, would there be issues? Yeah, maybe, probably. We'd have to figure that out. But that's how quick it changes. But the realistic people, which I try to, gauge my my idealism with, okay, what's actually going to happen? I think what you just laid out is probably the most cogent explanation, at least in my eyes. So I think that's it's important to kind of see. But I think that's the hard part of what I'm trying to say with all this, though. It's really living in two worlds. I mean, whether it was real estate, what you've laid out already, living in different currencies, this is a world that, again, Americans at the end of the day are not used to doing this. And this is where I think a lot of Americans are going to start learning, hey, you're going to have to start living in multiple worlds at one time. And that's just not easy for the average American to understand yet, but they're going to start learning it. So
Yeah, yeah, we'll have to operate within these two worlds, I think, for a while.
mm-hmm.
And you're correct, especially working in real estate. You operate in both worlds. Obviously, Bitcoin is becoming more and more important, and it's also a very important skill set. So, in the past, a skill set you needed was investing, how to invest, how to outperform inflation. And the skill set you need now is how do I buy and hold Bitcoin? That is the skill set you need now. So it's replacing the skill set that existed or was important basically for the past 100 years, really since 1913 when the Fed was founded, and then in 1913, 1914, the Bank of England went off the gold standard, and that's really the century of fiat. And you had to learn how to invest your money. Now you have to learn how to save again.
Yeah. Things really do come full circle. What I know we got about another 5 minutes or so here. I want to be cognizant of your time. What is there anything that's worrisome with you in Bitcoin? Is there something technologically, or is it something just ephemerally, just in the macro that worries? Is it people, human psychology? What's the one thing? I know Saylor, I think he's said a few years ago, the one thing that worries me is nothing technologically. I think everything is sound there. Like we'll be fine. We'll fix stuff. If it breaks, like we'll be fine. But it was, do people want sound money 50 years from now? Do people care about actually having this money that works for them? Like you said, one of the things that Orange Pill U is it's censorship resistant, it's permissionless, trustless. Do people care about that 50 years from now or 100 years from now? And I know, like he said, that's the one thing that kind of sticks with him, that it's his worry, I guess. But is there anything that worries you when it comes to Bitcoin?
If you want the answer to that question right there, and you like that spicy clip, check it out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. But if you want the full interview in its entirety, all the spicy clips put together, and you're not going to want to miss it, believe me, then check that out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. Do it.